Welcome to Problem Solvers, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Please like and share the video.
Alright guys, so in this section we will start to build some programs, and first things first, we will start to look at Kotlin development. Now, a few things to mention here. First of all, if you know Kotlin, if you have previous knowledge with Kotlin, or if you have previous knowledge in Java development, then you might not need to take this whole section, right? So depending on your knowledge, feel free to go look at the topics that you are interested in, that you need a kind of refresher on. Or if you simply know Kotlin, then go ahead and skip this section. This is pretty low level. I go from basically zero knowledge of Kotlin, and hopefully in the few hours that I spent on this section, you will kind of get to a point from zero knowledge to being able to build basic foundational programming, okay, algorithms. Now, this will not make you an expert in Kotlin development, especially if you don't have any previous knowledge in software development. But hopefully it will give you enough understanding of Kotlin and enough reference points so that when we move on to Android development, which is all done in Kotlin, you will be able to follow those exercises and especially have this as a reference to kind of come back to whenever you need kind of a refresher. Okay. Now, if you've never worked with Kotlin before, this might be a lot of information. Okay. So I do encourage you to take your time in this section. Go slow and try to kind of understand the concepts that we are talking about here. If you do need a lot more information though, I do have another course that is far bigger than this. I think the latest count on the other course is about 30 hours. It's more than 30 hours now because I keep adding to it. So if you do need a lot more information, you want to be proficient in Kotlin before starting Android, have a look at my other course, which I have linked in this video. Okay. But if not, go ahead and take this section. It is a few hours long. I doubt I'll reach 10 hours, but it should be about 6 or 7 hours. It's quite a lot of information. Obviously, this is a complete new language, new development language. It is based on Java, obviously, but it might be completely new to you. So take your time, practice a lot, and hopefully you will be able to follow along. Now, in this video, I want to talk very briefly about what we will see in this section. So first of all, we will talk about some foundations, things like variables, strings, operators, logical operators, true, false, things like that. Foundations in Kotlin, we will cover those quite extensively. Then we will move on to things like flow control, functions, lambdas, loops, if statements, things like that, right? So these are all very basic things that we need to know and understand in order to be able to develop in Kotlin and in Android, obviously. Then we will move on to object-oriented programming. Now, OOP is a huge topic, and I don't really have time to do it justice here. As I mentioned in the other course, there's a lot more detail, a lot more information, and a lot more exercises and practice opportunities. But here I do need to introduce some concepts like classes, interfaces, and various concepts within those classes. Okay, so like constructors, like initialization blocks and things like that. Okay, and we will spend a few videos on talking about object-oriented programming. And then finally, kind of peppered throughout this section, we will have a lot of exercises. So both exercises while we are learning about the topics, but also after we learn certain topics, we have practice exercises to kind of solidify a little bit the concepts that we talk about. Okay, so hopefully you will find this section useful, and if you've never worked with Kotlin before, it is absolutely necessary to have a good understanding of this in order to build applications on Android development. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and start learning about Kotlin development. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to install Java. If you've already worked with Java before, then you might already have it installed on your machine. So if that's the case, then you can skip the Java installation. However, if you've never worked with Java before, or if you've never developed or did any programming before, then you might want to install Java. So to do that, we're going to open up a browser window and we're going to search on Google for install Java. Okay, if we search for install Java, then we will get this suggestion. For me at the moment, it's my second suggestion here, and it is oracle.com/java/technologies download. Okay, downloads with an S. So if I click on that, that's going to take me to a download page where you have the option to choose which system you are running on and download the appropriate archive here to install on your machine. So for me, for example, it would be Mac OS, and I think I would be on a x64 DMG installer, right? So I would download that. Now for me, I already have that downloaded, but for you, just go ahead and click on that, download the package and install it locally. Okay, once you have that installed, just open up a terminal window. Okay, and if we type here java -- version, then that should give you the current version, right? So for example, here you have Java 18. That's the latest version that we're going to use here. All right, so that is one installation. The second one that we're going to need is this IDE. An IDE is basically an integrated development environment. Okay, so the one we're going to use for Kotlin development is IntelliJ IDEA. The reason why we're using IntelliJ is because it is very similar to Android Studio, and in fact, Android Studio IDE is based on IntelliJ. Okay, so we're going to use both because they are very similar, so we get used to them. IntelliJ, in order to download that, simply go to another browser window here, and we're going to search for IntelliJ IDEA. They added an A at the end to make this word idea rather than IDE, but you know, that's the same thing. You're going to find this website JetBrains. That's the I think it's the company that developed it. In any case, we're going to have IntelliJ IDEA, and on the first page here, I have a download button. Let's go to that. Now here, make sure you download the community version, right? The ultimate is a paid version, so we don't want that. We want a community version. It is JVM and Android development. Okay, for Android development, we're going to have a separate IDEA that is specific for Android, so don't worry about that for now. Just make sure that you are on the right tab here: Windows, Mac, or Linux, Mac OS, download and install that package, okay? Or Windows if you're on a Windows PC. All right, so go ahead and download and install that. And if once you've done that, just open it up and you will see something similar to this, okay? So this is my IDEA at the moment. We're gonna go ahead and create a new project here. And we're gonna we're gonna name it something like Kotlin tutorial. Whatever your name, whatever name you want to give it, that doesn't matter. Now, importantly here down below, we have language. So make sure you select Kotlin for the language. The build system is IntelliJ, and the JDK is going to be 1.8 installed for me. If you don't see 1.8 here, then you'll probably find it here in the selected detected SDKs. So make sure you select it from there. But for me, I have it here, 1.8, and then I'm going to click create. And it's going to take a moment to download everything and index a few different files and create the project and so on, right? So give it a bit of time for that to finish. In any case, this is our development environment. Now, I want to take a bit of a moment to kind of run you through a few of the options that we have here in the environment, because they will come in useful later on. So first of all, if we click here in IntelliJ IDEA, we have our preferences. Okay, so for the preferences, we have a bunch of options here. Just go ahead and check them out if you like, get accustomed to them. You can also search for a preference if you like, if you're looking for something specific. I just wanted to show you one option, and that is the key map. The key map is very useful because it shows you the keyboard shortcuts that you can use while you are developing. And at the beginning, you may not use a lot of them, but as you go through and learn development and work with this environment, then it will become very useful to perform some operations with the keyboard rather than with the menus up here. All the options are in the menu, but it's easier with the keyboard. So check those out if you like. You also have here some plugins. I have installed a plugin called Presentation Assist. So that will give you, let me actually just show you how that works. That will basically allow you to see the keyboard shortcuts that I use down below here. So before I show you that, let's go ahead and create a new file. You will have a bit of a structure to your project. We have the project files.ida, actually the IDE files. Then you have the source, which contains all the project files. In the main, you will build your Kotlin files, and in the test, here you might put unit tests and other things. We're going to use that in Android. We're not going to use that for Kotlin. So let's skip that for now. And then you have some dependencies, libraries, and so on. So the main folder that we're interested in is the source main folder. And inside we have a Kotlin. Okay, so here I'm going to right click and create a new Kotlin file. Okay, and I'm going to call this hw.kt. HW comes from hello world and KT for Kotlin. Okay, so let's run that. It added a class. I don't want a class actually. I'm just going to remove everything here. You might have this error as well. It says JDK 1.8 is not found on the disk. If you get that, just go to File and Project Structure. Okay, and here I have an SDK, so I'm not really sure why we get that issue, but let me just select the OpenJDK here. Okay, close this and open it up back again, and that should fix the issue that we're having. Okay, it's just indexing, so if I have a look here, it's just updating something in the background. That is fine. We're gonna keep on with the video. There we go. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to write a program to write out a hello world application. Okay, just something that prints out a string called hello world. The reason why we print out a hello world is basically tradition. Whenever we start learning a new development language, what we want to do is we want to jump in and start coding with a very, very simple, very basic program. And the most basic program in pretty much any development language is to write out a string to the console. And by custom, that string is going to be hello world. So we're going to stick to that tradition in Kotlin as well. One more thing I wanted to say is that I need to introduce a few concepts that obviously we haven't talked about since we are at the beginning of the course, but I will explain them in a bit of detail now, but also later on when we tackle those concepts, right? So for now, we're just going to type out the code and then we're going to explain it, right? So first of all, we're going to say fun. This is short for function, and we're going to call our function main, open parentheses, close parentheses, open curly bracket, close curly bracket. And inside here, we're going to say print ln. And if you wait a little bit, then you will get these suggestions, okay? Print ln, and you have all the options available to you. So I'm going to select print ln, and inside here, I'm going to put double quotes. And inside the double quotes, I'm going to say hello world. Okay, save that. Now, if I save, well, two things I want to mention. First of all, the save is automatic. I'm just kind of used to saving because I often develop in other environments. for different languages. For example, in Visual Studio Code, you have to save manually. So I'm kind of used to typing Command S. But also importantly here, you will see the keys that I typed for Save All. Okay, this is the plugin that I was telling you about, the Presentation Assist, that will let you know what I'm typing on the keyboard, right? Even though you don't see the output here in the file, you will see it down below. Anyway, we have our program. So let's go ahead and run our program and see the output. To run the program, it's actually very simple. On the top right side, you will have this green play button, and that if you hover over it, it will say run hw.kt. So let's go ahead and click on it. Okay, you can also have a keyboard shortcut if you prefer, but let's just run it like that. I'm going to wait for this to finish in the background. And then we get our console down below. Okay, you see here the tab Run. There's many tabs that we're going to use throughout our course, but for Run, we have the output Hello World. Okay, so very, very simple program, but at least we know that everything works from start to finish. We can use Kotlin, we can use Java, we can use IntelliJ to actually run our program. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do in this first video. We have installed everything we need for Kotlin, although we will need additional stuff for Android. But for now, we can go ahead and learn about Kotlin in detail. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.